Okay, part two. So every time I record painting videos, someone comes. So I just want you to know that in real life, these things happen and people will interrupt us. I did finish this cloud while I was talking to my husband because I did not want it to get completely dry, because if you let it get dry, you can't fill it in nicely. So hopefully you have continued painting, continue painting, dot in some darker color, hit some highlights. I am pretty happy with how this one's turning out. How's it going on your end? I hope it's going well. I'm just gonna pick up right where I left off and grab that darker, more intense pink again and do a cloud over here. And then from there, we'll probably lighten up even more. I'm thinking we'll do clouds up to about this point, and then we're gonna start doing some vertical lines to represent the sky. So I'm gonna come in over here and do down and probably just have it meet right there and fill in like so. And man, you can do all sorts of stuff once you start creating paintings. You can give them as gifts. I come in and paint as often as I can. It helps me so much to just forget everything. I love the release, the flow. I love being in here. If you do not have a dedicated space, I did not have a dedicated space for a long time. I would have to put all my stuff in the corner of my bedroom. I'm going back, same thing. I'm going to tap in some dark along the bottom and then tap in those yellow highlights on the top. And I would have to I had everything on this drop cloth, and I would take it out when I could paint and then pull it all back into the corner. Now I do have a studio space, but watercolor doesn't take up too much space. It's a tiny little palette. You can use small pieces of paper. And when I am stressed out, I mean, I have a young child, so I can't always escape in here, but it makes me forget everything. I love it. I'm going to take the color that I already have, and I'm going to add my lighter pink to it. If you don't have two different colored pinks, you could add more water. You could add a little bit of yellow to get it to a slightly different, I like to do gradients. So like if you wanted to make this head towards orange, you could add the yellow to the pink. However you want to do it is totally cool. I'm trying to go from this gray color to a pink to a lighter pink, and then maybe like an orange yellow sky is what's seeming like it's going to work well. So this paint down here feels dry enough that I could probably rest my hand to draw the next layer. You would want to check before you did that. You can always put your arm, your non-dominant hand and arm down, and then rest your dominant hand on it, because you can get more of an extension. I may do that actually. I just don't want to mess anything up. And I'm holding my brush real close. Actually, it's going to feel better for me to use my hand. I'm going to start from here, and hopefully this is the lighter color that I was anticipating. And I like these, I like these layers to go kind of, I don't want each cloud to perfectly line up, I want them to go all over. So I've got my shape, and now I'll go back and pull the color around like so. That's a pretty pink color. You can always smooth out the edges if you need to. Going back and forth from holding the brush really closely and then holding it, farther away when you kind of spread things out. I honestly don't even notice what I'm doing, except when I'm describing it to someone else. Did I say I'm glad you're here? I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're taking this time for creativity. I'm glad you're making something beautiful, whether it's just for you or whether you're giving it to someone. It's just so, it's just so life enriching to create. I love it. Okay, I touched it there. You can see that, totally fine. I will go back when this is completely dry and I will touch that up. I was recording this longer form class last year, and the number of times that my daughter came in to talk to me, you can hear lots of those interruptions. I'm laughing because I hear my husband closing the garage door, but I don't think he's going to come back in. Okay, this time I think I'm going to just tap in. You can't see me grabbing it up here. Just my dark pink. Maybe I'll touch it with a little bit of purple, but I want it to be tending more towards pink now than purple. So you're kind of like the shade that you'll tap into the bottom. You could always use black, like you could consistently do more of a black color if you wanted to, or a gray color, but I try to go several shades darker. And I'm really just touching the tip there. I don't want to overdo it. And I'm completely rinsing out my brush. Going back to my Naples yellow, because I really like that as a highlight color. That got a little dry up there. I'll just kind of tap it all around. I love the way it just does what it does. I may have made that too red. That's okay though. I'm gonna feel fine about it. I'm gonna grab more of my light pink. And I know you know this, but you can pause this anytime. I'm gonna add a little water to it to get it even lighter. And then I'm gonna do a cloud here and then probably one here. So I'm gonna start, I like to vary the sizes of these so it's not all exactly the same. So I think I'm gonna start around here, go around maybe to there. Spread it. Ooh, that looks kind of bubblegum pink, doesn't it? It's amazing though, the colors that the sky and the earth make. I was deleting some photos since I need more room on my phone, and I got this phone shortly into the pandemic. We keep our phones for a long time in this house. And in the early days of the pandemic, I would go for a walk almost every morning and I would take tons of flower pictures. There's a lake kind of near my house and a lot of neighborhoods with beautiful flowers. And I had just kept those pictures on my phone and I was looking through them. I did delete them, but they were beautiful to look at. It was really lovely to see all of the shapes and colors. I went and grabbed some of my, what color is that? It's like a petal pink, and diluted out that kind of redder pink that I'd used before because I don't want the bottom of this to be quite so dark. Yeah, that's nice and subtle right there. I'm happy with that. Cool. And then I'll grab more Naples. Whoops, I just grabbed pink instead of Naples yellow. Grab some Maple yellow. Do some more highlights. The other thing you can do, and maybe I'll do that on one of these clouds here, is you can paint the top half of a cloud one color, like yellow, and the bottom half pink, and then just let them touch, and that will give it even more of like a two-tone look. All right, let's do our final light pink cloud. Do I want to do it there, or should I do it? I think I am going to do it here. These are all the choices compositionally that you have to make. Maybe I want it to start more like up here. That's a super light pink. Let me get a little more color. So you can see how when watercolors are really wet, they go like this more, which can be a good thing or a not good thing, depending on what you're going for. I don't like them to be too wet, but finding that middle ground just takes practice. I did add a bit more water probably than I intended to there. You can go back in and add more color though, either as a second layer, but I try to do everything in just one layer. A lot of watercolor painting does involve layer upon layer upon layer, but I like to just hit it once and let it do what it's gonna. Do some darker pink all along the edges. Dark, dark, darker. Get down there. There we go. And then the yellow. And then maybe this time, maybe I'll do that. Okay, I'm cleaning off my brush and I'm taking my lighter yellow color that I've been using as a highlight. I'm filling up my brush with it. And now I'm gonna just outline the top with this color. I'm gonna start from here because this layer needs some filling in. And I'm using the yellow to draw this cloud. I'm not gonna fill in all the way though. I'm gonna pull down the color from the top, just here, like that. Rinse off my brush completely. And I'm gonna go back. I'm adding more of that light pink to that dark pink to get more of that bubblegum pink color. And now I'm gonna start drawing the lower outline. That's exactly what I want. I want it to mix. So I'm drawing the pink right up against the yellow so it can bleed in. And then below that line, I'm just filling in the straight up pink. I wanted to do it kind of quickly so that it wouldn't, the yellow wouldn't dry too much because then it wouldn't blend the way I wanted it to. So now I'll go back, I'll fill in the outline. I love that color it makes in the in-between. Not in the upside down, the in-between. Yes, I just made a Stranger Things reference. There has not been a new episode of Stranger Things in a very long time. And then I'll grab some of that darker pink, but I don't want it to be too dark, to go down here like so. Ooh, that's pretty. Nice. We'll do one more like that over here, probably joining together, and then maybe one more here, and then the rest we're gonna do vertical lines. I'm enjoying looking at mine. Are you enjoying looking at yours? Once you do it once, you can always go back and play around with it and do it as many times as you want. Do it however you want. Let's start here. As you can see, I just sort of draw random bumps. I did go back and load my brush up a bit, just filling in that yellow. Then we'll do the same thing with the pink. Rinsing my brush out, grabbing, yeah, I might want to make a little bit more of that color so I don't run out. So I've got that. I'll do the same thing. I'm just pushing my brush wide, just following that line where where the yellow is so it can blend. I don't love what that's doing, so I'm going to tap it around a bit. There, good. Now I'm going to finish. Yes, I'm leaning across. I hope you can still see what I'm doing. I think you can. I hope you can. I'm just using that straight up pink right with the very end of my brush, the very point, to fill in. And the reason I'm holding my arm like this is so I can have my hand on dry paper, because I don't want to smudge anything. I have heard you're supposed to be able to paint anything from any direction, but I paint how I want to paint. That might be a little too pink. Let's see. That's okay. We'll keep it down here. It would be nice. So yes, I have kind of an art degree. I have a studio art degree. And I took lots of art classes in college and high school, but I never took a watercolor painting class. In fact, I think mostly it was, I know I took one with oil, which I never paint with. In my opinion, oils they're not the medium for me. I'm gonna get this dark. I prefer dark pink to dot along the bottom. I prefer, and again, right now you can't see it, but I'm resting my arm like this on my other arm, because I wouldn't be able to hold my hand steady enough otherwise. Oils take too long to dry. The things you have to use to clean them up are not great. And that is just not what I prefer. I think I'm actually going to do one more right here to make that more of a level playing field. And then we will move on to the vertical lines. So boo, boo. I don't know, do I want it to keep going? Yeah, maybe like that. I like acrylic too. Acrylic dries quickly. You can just wash it off with water. You don't have to get involved with paint thinner or turpentine or anything like that. So anyways, I picked up watercolors a few years ago. They just seemed like fun, and they are. It is definitely one of my favorites. I go through periods where I only paint with watercolors, and then I become obsessed with something else. I'm just doing the same thing I've been doing for the last couple, which is outlining the bottom with that pink. And then I'll dot in a little bit darker pink. All right, what do you think? I'm feeling happy with this. That part definitely stands out. It happens. I did it. I'm not gonna stress about it. Now we have to decide. I'm gonna switch to straight lines. Do we want just straight up yellow? Do we want orange? Do we want peachy colors? I'm pausing because I'm not sure. I think I want it to be a little bit peachy. So I'm gonna add a light pink to my Naples yellow. Alternatively, you could use just any light or medium yellow color and add a touch of orange or a touch of red, and you can test it out on your scrap paper to make sure it's a color that you like. As long as you're staying all pretty much within the same color family, even if you were doing blue clouds and then did blues or blues and purples, like it'll be fine. So as usual with my vertical lines, I'm just gonna kind of eyeball it. I'm resting my hand on my other arm to keep it up off the paper, and I'm just gonna draw it across. Hope it's good enough. I can always adjust it a little bit. And then I push down hard to make my brush wider, so that more color gets all around. This is definitely a case where I could use a larger brush, but it's just easier for me to stick with one. I'm gonna move this out of the way because I think I'm gonna have to put my arm this way. This doesn't look completely straight to me. It's the sky, it doesn't need to, but I'm gonna draw it up a little bit there. And now I'm gonna put my arm, kind of curve it around. This I'm just gonna leave one color. I'm not gonna add any like dots of color to the bottom like we were doing with the clouds. So this is kind of like where the clouds finally end and you can see the sky, but the sky is all filled with beautiful color. The sun is going down or it's coming up. You could do this with a lot of different color combinations. You could do an overall orange. You could do all yellow, orange, blue, gray, blue gray, purple gray. It seems that everything I paint has yellow or pink in it, but you may not feel that way. Okay, so there's our first layer. And now I think I'm gonna get, do I wanna get lighter? Maybe. No, I think I wanna make it pinkier. So this time I just took my Naples yellow again and I'm adding more pink. Is that different enough? I don't know. I think I'm gonna add a little more pink to that. I want there to be a clear change in the color. And again, resting my hand on my anchor arm. And the bottom of the painting is dry enough that I can put my arm down here. And I'm just gonna draw across. You can see it lost a little steam there in the end, that's okay. And I like the color that this turned out to be. I'm very into these colors right now. then as you do this, I continue with keeping my white lines. You can draw it very carefully with the point of your brush, or you can do what I'm doing and kind of just pull the color along, being careful not to hit that. If you hit it, it'll bleed together. The colors will go together. It'll be fine. You could go back with your white pen if you want to, your white gel pen, if you're going that route. I'm just gonna continue in this direction with the Naples yellow. I'm gonna add my pink, but I'm gonna add a lot more pink. So now I want it to be looking pink or peach rather than that orange color. One of my favorite parts of these watercolor paintings is peeling off the paint at the end and seeing how cool it looks. It just looks so clean. I love those stark white edges. I just use regular old masking tape. All right, now I think we're ready. Actually, I want to even out that top line a little bit. It doesn't look quite, I mean, no one's expecting a perfectly straight line here, but I'd like it to be a little straighter. Okay, I'm not gonna mess with it anymore. Sometimes the more I mess with it, the worse it gets. This, I'm using just this straight up light pink color. Draw across the sky. The color scheme here is very similar to that mountain sunset we did, which tells you I like it. But you can do whatever colors you want. You might see something that inspires you, and you might think, oh, I love that color combination. I want to do that. Very nice. And now, it seems like it needs more water. I think I just made it kind of orange. Let's get it nice and pink here in the palette, and then I'm gonna go over here and grab a tiny bit of my permanent rose, very similar to what we did before color-wise, and just paint in this last section in that color. Try to make sure I get up to the edge there. All right. Let's peel this back. You are welcome to wait until your painting is completely dry. Sometimes if you do this too soon, it can bleed a little on the edges, but I want to see what it looks like. If your tape is tearing your painting, then you need to, one, pull it back slower at a 90-degree angle, and or you should, I always stick it to my pants first to make it less sticky. All right, now we have a beautiful finished above the clouds painting. I'm happy with this. I hope you are happy with yours, and I will see you next time.